want to welcome everyone to Collector's Showcase, a series dedicated to discovering the collector behind the collection. We've all heard stories about trophy collections, the rarest autographs, and even full master sets. But who is behind them? This series will reveal that and much more. The guests featured here are among the most influential collectors, personalities, and icons in the Pokemon hobby. Join me. We'll find out who they are, where they came from, and what they're doing now. A series created by the hobby, for the hobby. This is Collector's Showcase. What is going on, everybody? Welcome to episode 1 of Collector's Showcase. Super excited that we've got so many people in already. What I want to do is kind of give you guys a little bit of an overview of how we'll go through this. So it's going to be 2 guests. You guys saw it in the description. It's going to be Mason, CardNAll Gaming, and also Professor Oak YouTube. So what we'll do is we'll start by bringing them on, kind of letting them give a little bit of an introduction to themselves. And then we're going to go through and find out some stuff about them. And then what we'll do is go for roughly about an hour and a half tops. And then if you guys want to hang out after, we'll do a little after hours chat. But any questions you guys have, feel free to drop them in the comments. But without further ado, let's bring on our first guest.
Well, hello.
Mason, CardNAll Gaming. How are you, sir?
I'm good, man. How are you doing? Hello, everyone out there.
I'm doing good. We're pumped to have you here, man. This is exciting to have you and Oak on the very first one. So
how's it feel? How's it feel? Like you got training wheels on? You got training wheels right now? Or are you good?
I've got to control the StreamYard stuff, so that's kind of, anxiety ridden. But other than that, I'm pretty good. So as we saw before anybody else jumped in, I left Oak in our lobby there for a while and was like, where is he? So hopefully there's no technical difficulties today, but bear with me on the first one. So but before we get started, I guess, Mason, if you want to give kind of an introduction, I'm sure almost everybody in this stream knows who you are, but for anybody that watches back, maybe give kind of a quick bio, I guess, on yourself, what you are, what you do, kind of how you're involved in the Pokemon space.
Yeah, sure. 33 male in Kentucky.
ASL, please.
Yes, I have a YouTube channel, CardNAll Gaming. It is also happens to be the name of my store that I own. I own a game store, actually 2 game stores now in Louisville, Kentucky. So that's cool. And on my channel, I talk about kind of like the back end stuff, kind of like if you think of like alpha investments, but very much that kind of flavor of kind of discussions, what's going on in the hobby, when things are coming out and on releases and stuff like that. Kind of the stuff that I focus on and try to explain the inner workings of a game store to people that may not know, or just might have an interest in that, or maybe they want to open up a store one day themselves. I try to just answer questions and give information like that to people, and it's content that's not really out there. So I kind of pioneering that little niche there. So it's kind of cool to just film my inner workings day to day, and then kind of touch on bigger, broader topics about just owning a business in a game store, especially during the boom time was crazy. But now that it's mellowing out, we'll also see how that goes as well. So that's kind of a cool little transition period that we're in too. So it's fun. It's a lot of fun, and I have like 20K followers right now, or subscribers. So that's not bad. I'm doing okay.
That's pretty solid. Yeah.
So but yeah, that's my stick on the YouTubes anyways, as far as influencer. But yeah,
I think you said it perfectly. I mean, you definitely have one of the more unique takes in the hobby, and there's a few things that we'll get to that I want to ask you about that, because
sure,
especially in this space, you don't really see a lot of the retail side of things. I mean, obviously you see kind of your online stores traditionally, you see just normal resellers, things like that, but you don't normally see actual physical brick and mortar store owners really engage, at least in the Pokemon space. From what I understand, I know there's a little bit more in the sports side of things, obviously hosting events and things like that, but you are kind of a lone wolf, when it comes to that. So it's, I'm excited to go through a few things, with you. But before we do that, I don't want to leave our other friend in the lobby again. Our next guy is going to be Professor Oak YouTube. This is probably what I would consider the truest collector that I know. I don't think I've ever seen anybody have more passion strictly for the cards themselves than this guy. So everybody go ahead and welcome Mr. Professor Oak YouTube.
Oh, you. Oh. You're such a sweet guy. So we're doing ASL. We're kicking off with ASL. I am age 34. Sex is M. Location is just south of Tampa in Florida.
Also, how many computers that we all own in a single room is probably a good thing to
Too many. Too many computers. Don't even get started on screens, because that's another subject too.
Is it hot in that room? I'm sorry, this is not my show. Just go ahead, Pete.
No, it's a very important question to ask.
It's only hot when you're live, Mason.
You gotta love it. Well, Oak, I guess before we get into kind of talking about questions, if you want to do kind of what Mason did and give kind of I guess just a backstory on yourself. I mean, I know that we've known each other for a good while now, and you kind of, in my opinion, came out of nowhere. You were the first that I had seen YouTuber who came out, didn't matter how many subs, you were like, I'm going live and I'm having conversations about the hobby. And that's one of the things that, I think both of you guys definitely pioneer a certain lane yourselves. And Oak, I mean, your live streams, you live stream 4 or 5 days a week, it almost seems. I mean, if I'm bored and I need to watch content, I know that Oak is probably on with somebody. So maybe just kind of give if you don't mind, just kind of a quick backstory of what you do. I mean, how you're engaged in the hobby, because I've speculated on that, but I've never actually asked you directly. So I'm curious about that.
Love it. Yeah, I love your view on me and kind of like the perception. I guess it's not something that you really converse with that much with other people, but yeah, essentially, I am a collector. Have been since a little kiddo, since I was collecting the old Pogs and Tazos and the original base set cards back in the day. Essentially, decided I want to get into YouTube. And I've talked about this a little bit before. I stumbled upon the old Lee and Hart videos, opening crazy packs and a lot of engagement, excitement a while back, 2-3 years ago now. And then stumbled upon PK when he first started getting going. I think I was one of his first mods on there. He kind of threw me in there because he started his ball, his snowball really started rolling. And at that point, I'd already watched all his videos and I was pretty hooked. I was interested in the adult side of Pokemon. There's definitely an adult version of it, outside of the kids game, where we can all get together and talk like real people about the stuff that we love and we're passionate about. And I was like, damn, I want to be a part of that. I thought about it for a while. I made a few videos. I wanted to talk on data. We took on a lot of data in my work. So I figured that'd be a good thing for me to touch on. I did a couple of bits with that. Started thinking about maybe doing a live stream. And I reached out to Peak, PK. I used to call him Peak until you were the real actual Peak. But he's PK now. So I reached out to PK and I was like, hey, I know you do live streams, but I kind of want to do one. I kind of want to get in there and chat with people just because of my personality. I've been in the chats for a long time. I've been there on the sideline chatting and kind of being in there. I'm seeing all these cool people having all this fun. And I want to get that going. And so I just did it. I just started rolling. I started doing, live streams, chatting with people. Got to know fantastic people like the both of you that have honestly, you've been a huge part of this little community for me, this little thing that I feel like I'm a part of. And it's been fun. It's exciting just being a part of it. The aspects where, I'm just looking at the chat right now. You guys know every single person in this chat and the different contribution they bring to this community. And that's awesome. I love being a part of that. I love being a part of a tiny bit of everyone's week in that chat right now. All these people, I recognize every single name, and they're all rock stars. It's just such a cool thing to be part of.
Also, can I say right now that we have 22 people watching and we have 22 likes as well? That's awesome.
Thank you guys. That's
100%.
amazing. I wasn't even
wild.
looking at it actually. So thank you guys so much. That's amazing. I
Strong
know
people.
Dan is pretty proud of his wrench. I just went in because apparently I guess bots went in there. I've been looking at this, so I appreciate you guys giving me the heads up on that. No, okay, I think you're spot on. And, you know, really the goal of this whole kind of episodic thing that I'm putting together is really just to kind of paint the picture of exactly what you're talking about. Really just trying to see, you know, the amazing people that we have in this hobby and just kind of get, you know, maybe a small sample set just to give people who may not be as engaged or, you know, maybe you're too afraid to jump in chat or don't really get all the inside jokes, just to really understand kind of who the people are that are really engaged in this that may not do as much YouTube content or, you know, they just primarily do live streams with friends and stuff like that. And really just kind of give a better idea of you know, how great the community is in this. You know, I've been in a lot of different kind of collectible spaces, and I will say this is probably the most engaged, you know, true friendships get made in this, which is really what this all stemmed from and kind of why I wanted to do this. So, yeah, I'm glad to hear that take. You know, that passion kind of exudes from you every single time you talk about it. So I love that, man.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Well, what I want to do is I want to go through kind of a couple of questions for you guys. So I've made them kind of specific to you guys, and there's a couple that are really, you know, for both of you. So I guess what I want to start with, we'll just do one for both of you guys. Why Pokemon over any other TCG or CCG? Why did you guys? I mean, again, correct me if I'm wrong. I feel like both of you are probably more engaged with Pokemon than any other TCG. So why is that? And Mason, if you want to start, you know, you can go from there.
Yeah, for sure. Why Pokemon? Yeah, I mean, something I liked as I think everybody, you know, as a kid, we all have nostalgia. All of our 30-somethings that we are now that we all know. Yeah, I mean, we all just grew up in that heyday period of when Pokemon was the big deal. So I think a lot of people, and you see it with, you know, all sorts of hobbies. You know, we saw it with sports card collecting, and you know, people that grew up with, if you had an old game system, and people, you know, wanting to go back and play the games that they couldn't afford as a kid, but they always went and saw, you know, at Blockbuster or whatever. That's a throwback right there, Blockbuster. Geez.
I've been there. The greatest Friday nights ever.
Yes.
From my memory.
You know, and you know, go back and then experience all these things that maybe you couldn't as a kid, or things that you wanted to but didn't have you know, couldn't because you couldn't afford them. You know, it's things like that. So a lot of the nostalgia of seeing things as a kid or on the playground or wherever, and then being like, hey, I'm an adult now. I can actually get that thing that I want. So that's a lot of it too. That's probably like when it, you know, and I think for a lot of people, that's where the whole heart of the Pokemon lies, is that we all have fond memories of it growing up. And I think for me, the whole, so I wanted to do a business. I'll go ahead and tell my little story, unless that's a question later on, Peak. I don't know if you want to show your hand too much.
We'll probably dive a little bit deeper into that, but I'm curious too,
Yeah.
because and that's that, you know, you echo very similarly to what I did. Is, you know, Pokemon,
Sure.
The nostalgia got me back in, and the community kept me in. That's probably the most short version of the way I would describe it.
Yeah, for sure. And it kind of hangs with you. You know, you maybe you weren't always following along, but you know, if you heard Pokemon, you're like, oh yeah, I remember that. Or, you know, I see what's going on in Pokemon these days. Or, you know, stroll down the toy aisle and see what's up with, oh God, what's that Pokemon? I've never seen that guy. You know, stuff like that. So yeah, stuff like that I think a lot of people, again, this age have, and kind of grow up and always kind of interested in seeing that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. Oak, since you can't speak in chat apparently, what about you, if you don't mind? Guys, please don't time out Oak. Please don't abuse the power given.
It was funny. I got to admit.
That is pretty great.
I was chuckling for a second then. These guys.
Pretty awesome. To repeat the question, Oak, why have Pokemon, you? Right? Yeah, why Pokemon out of all the TCGs that are out there? Why is that what you continue to gravitate toward? Why are you still in? I mean, what's kept you here? I mean, really, I mean, obviously you've got the passion for the cards, but what about Pokemon specifically really captures your attention the most?
I'll tell you exactly why. And it's really smart marketing. I'll be honest with you. Pokemon, and I've touched on this. I think, Mason, you were in a live stream when I talked about this.
Yeah.
Pokemon did shows, they did stickers, they did figurines, they did plushes, they did cards, they did games, video games. Like, they went all in, balls to the wall. Like, everything that they could do, they jumped on it. Like, we're going to make this the coolest thing and connect everything we can and create a full-on brand. Their brand is, I mean, arguably the biggest brand in the world. Like, everybody knows who Pikachu is. Like, even people that have zero interest in Pokemon. And I was fascinated by each and every part of it. And when that came together, I mean, I was hooked. It's that simple for me. So I played the games a lot as a kid, the video games. I bought the cards, I had binders, I had collection boxes, I had all different things when I was a kid. Always held on to it. It was always dear to my heart. But I didn't see a lot of interaction from other people being close with it. So it was always like, I always felt like it was my thing. It was always like my little thing that I did and I enjoyed. And I never really shared it with other people. And I think that's why it was such like a revelation when I stumbled upon Leonhardt and PK, that I talked on earlier. So
you're like, adults are playing with Pokemon cards. What is this?
Yeah.
I've got to look more into it.
And I've got some that are 20 years old. Like, let's talk about this. Yeah. It was pretty cool. So yeah, for me, it was just kind of like the full picture of Pokemon. It's not just the cards. A lot of people, you were talking about why Pokemon is opposed to like another TCG or CCG in relation to the cards. But for me, the cards is like the focal point. That's like the center point for me. The other parts, I mean, I got coins, I got plushes, comics, like all different weird random stuff. I just like all of it. I just think it's fun. It all takes me back to being a little kid. I don't know how old I was. I was young. It was before most of the guys in this chat were even born, probably. But yeah, I remember
that's
running home.
It's an interesting thing,
it.
and not to cut you off too quickly or anything. I want you to keep going, but that one thing that I'm guilty of this, at least when it comes to Pokemon, is I forget how many different, like the sheer variety of products that they make. Because a lot of our hobby is focused primarily on the cards, right? But that is something that you mentioned, coins, plushies. I mean, I think they've made guitars. I mean, there's all kinds of different things that kind of they stamp their nostalgia on it, and people collect. So it's a good point, and that's something that I don't really. It doesn't come to mind when I think Pokemon collectibles. I don't usually think too much about. Oh, the Band-Aids, yeah, legendary.
You remember talking about them? I mean,
Yeah.
literally anything that you want, you can get it on it. It's you're right. I mean, it really does have a far-reaching. I don't know what the phrase would be, like a far-reaching brand. They just want to touch on everything, and it's cool.
They do a good job. Yeah.
Yeah. They put a lot of effort into it. It works.
Yeah, it's definitely Pokemon has definitely become a cultural part of like pop culture. That that was redundant.
They put the culture in pop culture.
Yes, they put themselves out there in a way that we all see Pokemon everywhere, and they're like the Apple of brandings. With everything they do is super clean, super nice, super high quality, and that's also another reason why everything else feels like a lesser standard when you compare it to Pokemon.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
I think that
what though? I gotta say, before we move away from that, both of you guys are a part of that culture. Because if everybody stops talking about it, there's no culture left. Like, there's nothing there. So both of you guys, even though you're doing different things, maybe you're in chats, maybe you're in live streams, maybe you're in the store talking with a 8-year-old kid, like whatever it is, like we are part of that culture. This community, we have a bunch, we got like 30 people, rock stars in the chat right now. Every single one of us is a part of keeping that culture alive.
Yeah,
and that's a cool feeling.
I think you're spot on, and you know, kind of the last thing on that, you know, I think one thing that Pokemon does really well is they appeal to a lot of different age groups, and I don't think that's specifically left in just the nostalgia. I think there's more than that, because there's a lot of people who weren't into Pokemon who were in their, you know, mid-20s, late 20s, early 30s, who actually just never really looked at Pokemon and decided to get into it. And whether that was, you know, money incentivized, obviously, or just, you know, curiosity out of anything, it seems there's been a lot of people even after the boom that really stuck around. I think there's definitely more people in the hobby now versus, you know, pre 2020, and I think that's because of how much attention got on it. A lot of people got curious about it, and I think they found something that, you know, as even Mason said, and Oki did as well, is it kind of spoke to them, you know, for that. So from my experience, at least all the other TCGs, they seem to steer, whether it be from a marketing standpoint or a community standpoint or both, it seems like they've got a specific age range that they kind of focus on. You know, if, for example, and Mason, you may correct me in this. You know, I don't understand, or not that I don't understand. I don't think that, I couldn't imagine that there's kids really going out to get Magic cards a lot. Obviously, there's some. You know, you can't generalize all of them, but Magic is really a person who grew up in that time period, right? And it just seems like Pokemon, for example, is the, you know, it kind of, it bridges all the gaps. You know, there's people I talk to, you know, that I've talked to that are 60 plus in this hobby. I mean, that, which is kind of crazy. They didn't grow up with it. You know, they were what, 40? You know, I guess when it really took off, you know, in the 90s. I mean, it's just kind of crazy to think about that. But
and
no, I
they
think
did
those are
with
all
their
good
kids, you know, and they,
you
you know, they remember that being a part of their family as well. So it's not just kids that grew up and now like it. It's sure there's parents back then that remember going around and taking their kids to Toys R Us and playing in tournaments, or trying to, I don't know, and going out and buying cards for their kids. I mean, that's part of part of it. That's part of the enjoyment of it. And you know, look at it now, where people go around to Walmarts and Targets with their kids, just trying to find products and seeing what's out there. That in itself is part of the fun of the hobby, you know. So a lot of that is this, I don't want to say scarcity of it, but just like the thrill of the hunt is there.
Sure.
Not just in chasing cards in the packs, but just the product itself and going around and running around and trying to find stuff. Like that's part of the fun for sure.
Yeah, I'm absolutely guilty of my daughter and I. If we're sent to go get paper towels, we're taking the long U-turn through the toy section just to look at the empty shelf with the sticker. There's no Pokemon on the shelf where I am, but yeah, I'm always just curious. I just want to walk by and go, is there an ETB there? You know, occasionally I'll see a Vivid Voltage maybe or something like that, but you know, that's one thing. Even my daughter, I mean, she just turned 4, so she's super young, doesn't really understand, but she loves the cards. I mean, she's like, I love this. She loves Oddish. That's one of her favorite ones. It's like the plant one, or the leaf one is what she calls it. So, you know, that's a really good point. You know, I think back to even someone like, you know, Gary King Pokemon. He talked about how he did. Everybody's kind of heard his backstory, and if you haven't, you know, he kind of grew up with his kids, you know, doing all that. He was obviously in the business, but then once they stopped, he kept going. So it kind of, you know, aligns a little bit with what you're saying. But what I'm going to do next, guys, I do want to go into, you know, because not that we're super strapped for time, but I want to make sure that we get to a few of these questions about you guys specifically, because obviously the hobby is amazing, and we can talk about that literally for 4 hours, as we all have in the past. But just a couple of main things, and then I'll probably ping pong it back to each one of you, you know, for particular questions. So Mason,
yes, I'm ready.
All right. So for you specifically, and actually I'll call back to what we talked about in the beginning a little bit, because that was something I had written down. So you're super, like I said, involved in this community. I mean, I personally don't know any other LGS owner who actually engages in the community like you do, not just on YouTube, but I mean, obviously you're in Discord, you're in Instagram chats, like things like that. Do you think that, or how much of an effect do you think that's had on CardNAll Gaming's like brand share or success and things like that, because you're personally involved or so ingrained, I guess, in the community? And I guess if that is going to have a little bit of an impact on it, do you think that, or why would LGS owners not be more involved like you are? Because really, like you said, you seem to be pioneering that, and you're the only one I've seen, at least in the Pokemon space.
Yeah, sure. I mean, it's been huge. It's huge for the business. I mean, the YouTube is the #1 analytic to my website, outpacing even just the organic, just like local person going on there and searching. The referrals through my website is number one, YouTube.
Wow.
So it's been huge. Yeah, absolutely. Like, and people come in and people that are traveling through, because Louisville has several interstates that pass through it, and they kind of converge. And I had a guy when I first started the channel, early on, he said, I'm taking my daughter down to Tennessee for some treatment. Medical treatment. I didn't ask, but and he was like, I got my collection here. I saw your channel and I wanted to sell it to you because of your channel. And he ended up having like over $1,000 collection that he brought into me just because of the YouTube channel. I mean, that alone, that's far surpassing and far outreaching any sort of ad revenue or any of that crap that is pennies.
Sure.
In the grand scheme of things, if you're looking at it weekly, daily, whatever metric. But yeah, I mean, it's been huge. Like the entire scope of my business, just like Pokemon has, it spiked, and it is, and even if we go back down, it's still been a huge boom to the business and what we've been able to do and add and upgrade and things like that along the way. Yeah, it's been because of the success of the YouTube channel and of Pokemon in general, and just being in a position to capitalize on all that. And I obviously I spend all this time and talking about Pokemon because it's fun and I enjoy it, and for me, that's my place of enjoyment. Just a matter of fact that I can create a successful business talking about it and able to buy collections and talk to people and sell cards to people and all that. That's just a bonus at this point. I mean, I'd be here regardless.
So why do you think other LGS owners haven't? I mean, I'm assuming they probably, especially local to you, are aware of the amount of subscribers you have and things like that. And I mean, obviously you can put two and two together and think, if he's got 20,000 people that are sub to him, worst case scenario, he gets 100 people that go to his store just for that. I mean, that's got to be attractive to them. So why do you think that most LGS owners, and I'm talking generally here, so if you know more than that, let me know, but why do you think the majority of them aren't as engaged in this hobby specifically? I mean, obviously they may be, like I mentioned earlier, in sports or something else, but for Pokemon, which I think, was so absolutely massive over the course of the last year, why do you think no one's kind of followed in your footsteps, I guess, on that?
Well, I mean, I think there has been a few, especially newer stores, and game stores are typically, go in cycles where, if something peaks in popularity, if Magic gets hot or popular or something like that, something catches fire or a new game comes out that's really popular, a new store will pop up and that'll be their big thing that they're into, right? Like I said, I just happen to be, I love Pokemon.
Sure.
And I think most stores out there, though, are super into like Magic. Magic is the number one TCG for most stores.
What's the events and things, right? They do more Magic events because there's more of a player base and gets people in the store to buy.
Right.
Am I right on that?
So if before all this, they maybe had like an event on Sundays where a bunch of kids would come up there and tear up their store and try to play Pokemon, and they would sell the packs and products just because people bring their kids or whatever in, they're going to want Pokemon cards or whatever. To them, it's not as big of a deal, and it's not the driving factor behind their business. So again, most stores that are established and been around and not just popped up in the past couple of years are heavy in Magic and stuff like that. And the people that started those businesses because they're into Magic and they want to buy and sell and all that kind of stuff. So I think that's a big part of it. It's probably just a lot of people probably even still see Pokemon as just like, yeah, it's a thing I sell on my shelf and it fills the space between Magic and Yu-Gi-Oh! And that's just something that kids will come in and buy, or parents will come in and buy for their kids. It's just
it definitely sounds like a missed opportunity. I would say from my side. I mean, you've obviously got even the financials and the monetary gain to kind of show that Pokemon is definitely one of the hottest, if not the hottest thing that you can buy on the shelf when it comes to cardboard right now.
Sure.
But I can kind of understand the and not that I'm kind of overstepping my expertise here, but kind of the old school mentality of like in-person events are going to be what really drive revenue for our business, and this is what we're doing. And I think COVID specifically with all the shutdowns, that probably, I would think that would be more of a wake-up call of like, oh, we can't count on just in-person events for these specific TCGs. That may affect something where we need more online exposure and more online traffic, things like that. So yeah, I was really curious about that, because I'm glad you brought it up at the beginning. And we didn't talk about this, guys, beforehand, but Mason talking about how he's kind of unique in this space as an LGS owner, sharing content.
It typically comes up. So yeah.
Yeah. I think somebody called you a 1-of-1 earlier, and I agree with them. So I would completely echo that all day.
I'm serial.
Yeah.
That was me.
Oh, that was you. Okay.
Jeez.
I'm trying to keep my attention on you guys instead of just sitting here reading the chat.
But yeah, and that's something I talk on a lot too. Is a lot of these stores, and just LGSs in general, are very just stuck in like the early 2000s, and just they don't have websites. They don't have, they don't live stream anything, which is crazy to me. Like, we live stream. It's just click a button.
Yeah, I've seen your games and stuff like that. You just set up a still frame camera and go from there.
It's so easy, and it's free promotion. People will hop on and know that you exist. It's in where anybody can hop online and buy anything they want all the time. You have to be throwing your name out there constantly. And these older stores that, it's crazy to me that the lack of outreach or any effort at all. There's a store local to me that is much bigger than I. They sell literally everything, sports cards, all, everything under the sun. And they will run a win a case event for Pokemon and do zero advertising for it.
Just
so
if you're there, if you're a regular.
Yeah. So like, the whole point of doing that would be to drive people to come to your store, but then they don't advertise it. So you are just losing money. They gave away a case of Fusion Strike. Even more than that. That was the number one thing for the winner, won a whole case. And then everybody else won less things. Yeah. But still boxes of Fusion Strike.
A case giveaway that's going to drive a lot of people. If somebody's like, I can get a case of a fairly popular set, that's pretty unheard of.
Over $1,000 in like actual, not wholesale, but market value items. And 12 people showed up.
Oh my gosh!
At $25 a person. So
you think too, in an online
threw away
raffle,
money.
Yeah, and I'm thinking the classic Instagram post, right? Tag 3 of your friends, reshare this, do that. Just some way to kind of build that exposure, because that's what you're paying for. I would think, with the $500-$600 they're paying out of pocket or whatever that may be. That's definitely worth it.
So there's just a lot of that just, it boggles the mind that people aren't doing more outreach, and just even locally, just like streaming things on Facebook and doing Facebook sales and stuff like that. It's all, additional revenue missed out.
Yeah. Well, that's and that's awesome to hear your take. So I know you've been in a ton of live streams, and part of what I, really the goal was, of having you on is to kind of understand that side of the business, and just kind of, obviously being able to put CardNAll Gaming up there, because you guys do, and you specifically, you guys really engage in the community. Again, your live streams, you're personally engaged. I can even speak from experience. I tried to buy a couple of cases of a CCG from you, and I think DNA in the chat mentioned earlier when he was driving through Louisville, all he wanted to do was go to your store. And I don't think that's just because you sell Pokemon. I think it's because it's you, and you're engaged, and people buy from people they're familiar with. So no, I think that's awesome. Oak, I do have a good question for you, and this is one that
let's hang on. We're gonna touch on how Mason kicked off that answer on that one first.
Okay,
that was pretty inspiring what you just said there, Mason. So you're not only a card shop owner, a game store, a event holder, you're all of the above. You've got professor status, going on there, with the games and stuff. It's pretty cool, like what you've got going on, and you're saying that you still love it. You've been doing it a few years now. You love it. You enjoy it. It's something that you're passionate. It's your hobby, and you make money. Like, you make a living wage from it. You're providing a wage to other people with it. Like, there's a widespread enjoyment there too. It's not just yourself. That's really inspiring. That was really cool hearing you talk about that. Just then, like that you're having success with it, that the YouTube's bringing in people, and things are going well. Like that's really cool to hear. I got to say, yeah, like I feel inspired by that. I think that's pretty cool. I think a lot of people would like to hear that and feel maybe a bit of motivation from it. That maybe aren't quite at your level yet. No, at the place where you're at, where you're seeing some success. That's what they want to be. That's where they want to get to. That's pretty cool to hear.
Yeah, I mean, YouTube is a big part of the success of the business the past couple of years. Absolutely.
No, that's awesome.
Love it.
Oak, so on the collector side of things, because this is part of the reason I wanted to kind of pair you guys up, because I see Mason as like the ultimate kind of business example that I personally know, in the hobby, and you are the ultimate collector example, that I see in the hobby. So a collector specific question.
I buy from Mason.
Yeah, there you go.
We did a live break and Oak bought into a live break.
No, that's awesome.
And I did pretty good for you, I think. I did okay.
You hit every card I wanted. It was perfect. Yeah. Sorry,
so,
Pete.
Oak, no, you're good. So this is one of your like bigger achievements I've heard you mention. So I wanted to touch on this and add a question about it. So you are currently ranked, last time I looked, I think number 8. I'm just going to say top 10 because it sounds cooler. Top 10 in the PSA registry for the English Pikachu Master Set. So you have, I think there's 340 some odd cards. You can correct me if I'm wrong, I think, in that. So you are top 10 out of however many people are in that right now. So I'm curious, and side note, I guess we'll get to it, but picking Pikachu as what you're going to collect is the Mount Everest of this hobby, in my opinion. It's one of the most difficult, I mean, just from a sheer volume standpoint. I've heard you talk about how many Pikachus you have, and after clicking around a little bit in the registry and just looking at the different versions and looking at your profile, I mean, yeah, there's a lot. There's a mountain to climb. But I'm curious with Pikachu specifically and that registry, what came first? Were you already collecting Pikachus and then the registry was just kind of a cool challenge to go through? Or was it more of, hey, I'm collecting, but I'm clicking around the registry. I go, oh, wow, there's a Pikachu Master Set. Pikachu's my Pokemon. I'm going to go for this. I mean, what drove you collecting this? Was it PSA registry? Was it just organic collecting and then you kind of fell into the PSA registry?
Very good question. I love that one a lot because that is very current and active in what I'm currently doing right now. That's a very right here, right now, my focal point. I must have checked eBay 17 times today. I mean, it's like literally a very active part of what I do right now. So a bit of backstory on the registry side of stuff before I start talking on my backstory. They did do some updates in the past month. There has been some extra registries added. So they've added a registry for Pikachu's from 1996 to 2000, I think it is, or 96 to 1999. The real early Japanese ones that were way before English, and then the first few English. So there's a registry for those. They added a registry for full art Pikachu's. They added a registry for Japanese Master Set, Japanese Basic Set, English Master Set, English Basic Set, full Master Set. They added what was the other one? There's a couple. I think there's 8 total now, and I'm top 10 in all 8. So I
didn't know that.
Yeah, I have a little bit of variation, I guess, but also there's not that many people using them. You'd be surprised how many people don't scan their cards into PSA after they grade them with PSA or after they buy PSA slabs. They just keep the slabs. They just collect them. So I would be very surprised if I was actually the top 10 collector in the world, like for those registries. If you actually looked at people's collections, it's just I'm the only person that's declaring that kind of thing.
I'm sure there's a good portion of people who do that, though. I think you're underestimating how many people probably attempt it and just don't do it. I've played around with the registry and attempted to kind of complete certain sets because I love anything. I grew up on video games, so it's like achievements or like getting a little medal or a badge. I think is what they do. That's exciting. So I'm sure there's a good portion of it. But what I guess the main thing is when did you decide to do the PSA registry?
Yeah. So, yeah, I didn't really answer your question there. I guess I was, I want to focus on like what the register's at right now.
Sure.
Honestly,
No, it's all
like
good.
I did want to get to that. So, when I was very, very young, it was the 2000 World Collection, which I think I've spoken with you about before.
Yeah, love the binders. They were like 99 cents back in the day or something crazy. Those are amazing.
Definitely didn't pay 99 cents. It was a hell of a lot more than that. I've got it on my shelf just there. Yeah, that was my first ever sealed purchase that I kept sealed. And I didn't even take it out of the envelope it was shipped in for a little while because I was so scared to open it up. Like, it was like so like fascinating.
That was that
and, like,
precious and everything.
so precious and exciting. I was like, I don't know, 11, 12 years old, something like that. Don't work that out, guys. I was like pretty young, it was just a couple of years ago. And I remember getting it, and I remember opening it up, and I just remember you've got the little, through the letters, it says Pokemon and the little lightning bolt. Through the letters, you can see the Pikachus through it. And I just remember just staring at it, like every time, like I just wanted to like check on it. I just stare at it, and I'm like, God, I want to open them up, I want to hold them, I want to like see the the reflection, and just kind of just enjoy them as much. But I was very strict on myself. I already had a binder of like Team Rocket and some other random fossil first edition, like some base cards. So I always drove myself back to there. And then when I discovered the whole YouTube sphere, I was talking earlier about Leonhardt and PK, when I started discovering, Mason and Nick, Old School Pokemon, and like some other people that were like talking about Pokemon like as adults and like in the real world and like what it's at currently, I was like, oh, okay, like this is actually a thing now. Like this is like quite a big thing. And people are grading this stuff. Like it's more serious now. You actually do something with it, and you slab it up, you preserve it, and you grade it. It can add value. And at that point, I was like, okay, I gotta like get serious about this. Like this isn't like just something I keep in my shelf and I'll in a drawer, and I look at every now and again and just enjoy it and talk about it and show people. This is like an actual thing that's worth money. So yeah, at that point, I was like, okay, I got to send some cards into grade. So I sent those 9 Pikachus from that collection in. That was my first ever PSA submission. I hit.
Oh, so you sent the whole folder to PSA? That's
pulled
awesome.
them out. I'd never opened it till that day. It had been sealed for 20 years.
Yeah.
And the day I decided to submit to PSA, I was like, let's do it. And I opened them up. I got 3 10s and 6 9s from the 9 cards. I felt pretty good. Most of it, I think there was 2 cards with a white spot. The other ones, it was just centering, like it was just the print or whatever. But it was pretty cool. Like getting some 10s on your first submission really gives you a bit of like pep. Like you feel good that you got some 10s from a submission with PSA. So I sent everything. As soon as they came back and I knew I had that, I was like, yeah, I'm just going to send everything else in just to preserve it. If there's anything worth money after that, it's mine,
Yeah.
We'll do whatever, but most of it's sat here in a big pile right now. But yeah, I sent a lot of stuff in. I bought a few things to add in with that collection. And then I was like, okay, I miss those Pikachus from the World Collection. I didn't see them for a while because PSA was pretty busy. I was like,
yeah, when did you send those in? I guess when, was that like during the shutdown or was that prior?
Yeah, that was like fall 2020-ish, I think. So it was like a little bit after COVID had been going. I'd been watching videos on YouTube for a while. I was starting to get a grip of like grading and slabs and stuff that I hadn't been aware of for the 20 years prior. And then I was like, okay, like now I don't have my cards. I kind of feel I want to look for some. So I started buying some Pikachus. Yeah, and it was all it pretty blew up from there. It was a bit of a volcano, I guess you'd call it. Like I just kind of like grabbing as much as I can. I've got quite a few. I think you said you'd been in my registry. I just added a few this week, but I've got quite a few in there. And then I've got, anyway, I don't know. I haven't counted. Somewhere between like 50 and 100 ready to grade that are like gradable. And then I've probably got 50 that are like binder pile too. I'm going to create a Pokemon Pikachu binder, like just Pikachu. So I have quite a lot there. And then, the actual graded ones that I already have, I've got quite a few too. And it's just exciting, the thought that now I'm like in it. I'm like so far in it, and I'm like so involved, and like I'm in all the different registries and the new ones in the past month that they've even added. I'm there. I'm like, I love the challenge. There's a challenge now. I've got to complete it. I've got to get in there and do something with it. So yeah, now I feel like I've got a purpose, I guess, with grading.
With the hobby and everything. Yeah, no, that's a good point, because it's rare that you find too many people that are grading outside of just trying to increase the amount of money they can make off of it. Right? So you have a registry sure, and I think everybody has to a certain extent to buy more Pokemon cards, I guess, but for you to be able to have a kind of a registry goal to shoot for, I mean, that's definitely its own unique kind of motivation, I guess, to do that versus just, I'm going to buy randomly. I'm going to buy random cards that I think are popular. I mean, you definitely have a kind of a personal connection to what you're buying specifically. And there's I wouldn't say there's an end goal, but there's a current goal in mind that you're doing that for. And again, touching back to what I said about you being kind of one of the truer collectors I know, I think that's one of the coolest things about you is at no point in that entire time you were talking were you thinking like, yeah, I just wanted to see what they were worth, or I just wanted to look up recent solds or anything like that didn't even enter your brain. So it's such a I respect it in this hobby, because it's rare that you find people that are truly passionate like that, and those are the type of collectors I hope to kind of showcase on this, is just people that are truly passionate about what they're doing. And Mason with his business, and obviously he's passionate about Pokemon, and you with your collection and the community, it's really is great. Well, I wanted to I want to kind of go through these a little bit quicker, because I know the chat, I'm sure you guys have some questions that I would love to get to. And this is kind of a funny question for you, Mason. Sure. And this is going to be a little bit of a callback for you. So I don't know all of the business history that you have, but if you could take me from whenever you were looking at doing barrel-aged barbecue sauce, how do you go from that to owning multiple, or an LGS with multiple stores? That seems to be a little bit of a transition, I would imagine. Was the goal to, almost Oak style work your way to the LGS, or was it just something that after that, maybe you just decided, you know what, I love cards, I'm jumping into this? And maybe if you want to even touch on a little backstory, I doubt almost anybody knows much about that part of your business life.
No, that's a deep cut, man. No, that was what feels like a lifetime ago. It was just somebody that I worked with. He loved to cook, was a chef. So he was always like, making sauces and things like that. So he's like, well, I like this sauce. This sauce is pretty good. And, he was going on, I'd really like to bottle it and get it, produced. And he had worked with a person that, does mass quantities of making sauces and then bottling that and that kind of stuff. So he had a connection with that. So, I was literally just the guy that did I made the labels. I made, all the back end kind of stuff, which is very much so what I still do with the store is, with this pretty face and all. I know it's hard to believe that I actually run the things in the back and I'm not just the face, but no, I mean, I do enjoy like the grunt work of all the stuff that goes behind the scenes and what goes into that kind of stuff. So I really got my first taste of business. Taste.
No pun intended. Yeah, I like it.
And it's funny because I saw just luck-based opportunities, just sheer chance, just weird little things. I was like, sometimes you don't have to be good. You just have to get lucky sometimes, and that's a big part of business and in life in general. And so I learned a lot of running a business and kind of what it takes on that first little venture there, so that growing up I never wanted like to own my own business, but uh, for some reason it kind of sticks with me, and I guess it's definitely the just I'm going to do a side hustle of some sort. So I guess I'm going to just whatever opportunity falls in my lap.
Yeah. So
That's
can we say the foundation of the operational efficiency of CardNAll is based on barbecue sauce? Is that
oh,
fair?
I hope not. I hope not, because that's not good. No.
Yeah.
But no, I learned a lot. It was very fun. I learned how to do all those early starting beginner business stuff that is really hard for a lot of people to break through and try to like just figure out and take that first step to do it. It's prohibitive in itself to start a business. So
Sure.
it's really funny that the kind of mental barriers we give ourselves, and that if you actually do put out the effort, that sometimes is just enough for people to like give you a chance. And that's kind of something that I've learned. So
No, I think that's
but yeah,
super insightful, and it's kind of the almost failing up until you actually get
sure,
like you said, the
absolutely,
opportunity. I mean, it's one of those things that what do they say? Like luck is, it's when opportunity meets preparation.
sure,
I think one thing they miss is experience. Is really probably the better word, when opportunity meets experience, because I don't think most people are prepared for opportunities when they fall in your lap. You just kind of jump in both feet and hope you learn something. Whether it's successful or failed, you're kind of still winning because you learned something. You learned either not how to do something, or you learned how to be better at something. And I think your story, even however many variables of business experience that you did before you kind of set your side on the LGS. I mean, that's it could be anything. You could be working at a paper store like The Office. You could be
sure.
making barbecue sauce labels. Whatever it may be. So no, I just remember us talking about that a long time ago, and I remember it was just an offhand comment you made. And I wanted to know more about that because I found that so fascinating. I think we were talking about bourbon, and you had touched base with like Lexington or something like that. I can't remember what it was.
Yeah, I was going to tell you because I know that you are big bourbon guy.
It's one of my first collectibles. So
one of the businesses that we reached out to, because we wanted to, reach out to one of these bourbon companies and like make that be their sauce. That whatever it didn't matter who it was, we didn't care. It's just whoever would give us a chance. And Lexington Brewing Company was one of the ones that we reached out to, and we went to talk to them and talk about the venture. And we're sitting there, having just walked past this big like medieval looking style, because I think the owner, well, that past owner, was from England, Ireland, Scottish, so everything was like medievalist themed or Scottish themed. So he had like suits of armors and stuff, like in this like private dining hall looking thing that we walked through to the
pretty awesome.
So we're sitting there with the president of the company and his own like private bar behind whatever that other big room was. I don't even know, but we went beyond that to like the next private room, and we're sitting there talking about barbecue sauce to these guys. When we had no business being there. We have no idea what the hell we're doing. We just made a sauce and reached out to them, and we got a private tour and all this stuff. And it's just like, and you kind of just sit there and you're just like, they like walked out of the room for a minute. I was like, what the hell are we doing here? How did we end up? Like, what did we do to get here? Anyways, it was.
Well, then you think on that and you apply it to whatever you're doing in the future. I'm
Yes.
a big proponent of act like you belong.
If I could
because
walk
no one
into
can tell
a
you you're
place,
not.
yes,
Yeah.
and the suit that I used for my hotel job at the time to walk in there and talk to these guys. Yeah, that's kind of definitely one of those things. You're just like, yeah, this is the effort is 90% of it.
Yeah,
and then
you
showing
walk
up.
in, you're like, how often do you clean this armor? Like you're complaining, like you've seen
It
another
was
one.
it was not dingy at all. Let me tell you, it was absolutely
I
beautiful.
believe it.
It was crazy, insane.
That's such an awesome story, man. And I know probably for most people here, which I don't know if you saw chat, I was like, go ahead and name Mason's barbecue sauce. And I think out of all the ones that I've read, I think Thrifty might have had the best one, Berry Hot,
Sure.
which I love.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. No, there were some good ones in there. So what I want to do, guys, now is I've got one question each left for you guys, and then we'll do a single question for both of you. And then chat, I'll let you guys know. We can definitely get some questions answered for you guys because obviously we talked about a lot. So I want you guys to be able to have have some interaction, with them. So Oak, I'll start with you. And this is a little bit more of a long-term one. Where do you see yourself in relation to this hobby 5 years?
That is a long-term one, 5 years. Wow.
Well, a lot of people say, 10 years, 20 years. I don't even want to try and imagine what that would be like, but I feel like 5 years is probably a good, most of us have been in for maybe, 2, 3, and not most of us, but some of us have been in for maybe 2, 3 years. So, you're kind of entering maybe close to that 5-year mark or at least over halfway. So can you imagine another 5? What would you see? Are you chasing Registry? Are you just as passionate? I mean, what do you think where do you think you'll be?
Okay, so yeah, I mean, you just touched on 2 years. So much has changed in 2 years. It's so hard. I work for a private company, a pretty big private company that tries to forecast out those kind of timeframes, and it's very difficult to see what a team or a product or anything would kind of look like at that point. In my own personal hobby with Pokemon and kind of what I'm doing right now, it's not. I'm just an opportunist. For me, the grass isn't green on the other side. The glass isn't half full. It's greener where you water it, and it's a chance to quench my thirst. Like it really, I'm opportunist, I would say. It's seize it, just go, just do it, just sit on the grass, drink the water, whatever is in the glass right now. So for me, I can't say I've planned. I don't know if I'm forecasting. I don't know if I'm like going serious into the future, that kind of stuff. But right now, I know I have a long way to go on the registries. Like
I think the Pikachu Pokemon registries, they may take a little bit more than 5 years. So it's interesting to think about. But obviously, your goal, whatever that may be, is probably not to be number one and have every single Pikachu card. But I'm sure you want to be as damn close as you possibly can.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's exactly it. So I need to be well on my way. So there's 2 points to consider there. First of all, there's 684 currently on the master set, which is quite a lot of Pikachus, and that's before you add in any recent ones, any new sets, any ones that get added to the registry, because PSA don't add cards to the registry. The collectors add cards to the registry, which is a bit of a misconception that people don't know. Like, it's not like really marketed in that way. If you have a card that isn't in the registry that you want it to be in, you send a request to PSA and then PSA adds it. PSA doesn't automatically add cards to registries. That's like not a thing. So that 684 is going to grow and carry on growing with new sets. We've got Scarlet, coming up. That's going to contain Pikachus at some level within some of those sets within that, that era that's approaching pretty quickly at the end of this year. There's definitely going to be Pikachus there. So it's just going to go and grow. And then we've got, Japanese, there's different languages within that. But yeah, like you said, the aim is to get there. So that's one portion of what I'm hoping for, like the 5-year plan. The other 5-year plan is to carry on enjoying the hobby and the community with the people I've got. So, there's a few people in my Discord that are very active and the people that are even inactive, I enjoy when I do speak with them. They sometimes message me one-on-one because I don't know if it's confidence or, just they just want to talk to me direct, whatever it is, like just that in general, like just utilizing Discord as a tool to connect with people is pretty fun. And then the YouTube, which for some reason there's a lot of people on YouTube that want to like see what people are doing with Pokemon. Mason got a lot of subscribers and views. There's people that hit my channel up. I think it's cool to be able to connect with those people. The people that are in it, the people that are buying, selling, flipping, collecting, whatever, all the aspects of it. Just want to see cards. Like there's some channels I watch that I have no engagement with, don't really connect with the person itself, but I watch it just because I enjoy the cards. Like sometimes it's that simple. It comes down to the fundamental of just literally, I just want to see what they're playing around with. I'm not going to throw names out there. A couple of people probably know who I'm talking about on some of them, but yeah, some people just go through cards and it's fun. And I just want to carry on being a part of this. So for me, it's very, I don't even know what the word is, maybe holistic. I don't know. I just want to carry on being in it and enjoying it. And whenever we've got Mason at the helm and, Pete now creating a channel, which is incredibly exciting, of bringing people together and providing content. You've got a wildfire chat right now of people in here that we're all hyped up for this. Like this right now is exactly why I'm in the hobby. This is exactly why I want to be in this community. I love it. So
man, that's so awesome to hear. That's like I said earlier, I was like,
simple.
You kind of exude the passion, man, and it's so great to hear you talk about things. I mean, so authentically, and not trying to convince people of anything or anything like that. You're just like, I just love this stuff and the community. And
no motive.
You told Mason
right?
He was inspiring earlier. That what you just said there was legendary, man. That's such an awesome take to have on it. So what I'll do, because the chat is pretty active, and I promise I'm not ignoring you guys because I want to get to questions. I'm going to do. Technically, it'll be our final question, guys. So if you guys want to drop questions there, I'll look through them as we go. Anything past 10:19 my time, looks like Thrifty's fire emojis. I'll look through. But
can I ask Mason a question before you do your?
Yeah, go for it. Go for it.
Mason, I want to deflect that question over to you. What's your 5-year plan? Because you're actually in business and in the community. You're like doubling up on me. So I'm curious on.
Are you Uno reversing this question to me?
I absolutely 100% Uno.
He just peeled the ditto off of himself and was like, "What's up?" Same question.
I'll make it really, really fast. I would love to, in the next 5 years, either play a big part or host a regional for Pokemon.
That would be awesome.
I might, if I have to travel down to or up to Indy or wherever to do it, I want to be a big part of it. Or host a regional here in Louisville if they would be so kind to let me do it. But that is my short, sweet answer of like my dream. Outside of the business, anyways.
I got goosebumps when you said that. My hairs were standing up. That is a really exciting thought.
I would absolutely go to spectate and drink bourbon with you. So if that happens, just know
they can play their games. Yeah, we'll just be drinking off to the side. Yeah,
I'm going to go to the other collectible, which I enjoy a lot.
Sure.
But no. So last question before I let chat kind of almost take it over with questions.
Yeah.
And it's the same question for both you guys, but a little bit different kind of toward the end. So what can Pokemon do? Let me see how I wrote this because this is important to say it the right way. So for Mason, what could the Pokemon company do to help LGS owners in 2023 that they're not doing today? And same question for you, Oak, except what could they do for collectors or to help collectors and inspire collectors or however you want to think on that in 2023? I'm not saying the rest of the year. I'm just saying starting next year, what can they do differently? And either one of you guys can start.
Oak, you got an answer, or you want me to talk for a while? I have a list. No, but
He's like just pulls down the scroll.
I think no, I would think that Mason probably has a bigger list than me on that.
I do.
Yeah.
He's like, I don't even need to know yours. I do.
Yeah, I would think that you probably have more relative input on that one.
Sure. Okay, I'll start. So I would love, as you know, everything's shut down officially for Pokemon. There's no support going out for Pokemon. I mean, they send like marketing kits. That's the only thing that we really get on new releases for sets. They'll get out a marketing kit, which is awesome. They normally have really super cool stuff like posters and stickers and all kinds of cool stuff like that, which is awesome. But I would love to see, and they actually are doing this. So this is actually a thing that they're doing. Other card games like Magic and Yu-Gi-Oh have basically like participation packs that have like special promos or like unique arts and stuff like that for playing in the tournaments, and that would be awesome to have a Pokemon. I hope they do something very, very similar to like what the other games are doing, because to have like unique arts or special like super popular or highly used cards in the meta to have like a super awesome alternative art and have it be in like a pack form.
Mm-hmm.
They did do promos where they would just give out like Ultra Ball. Ultra Ball is like a super popular card, extremely playable. It's played in every deck basically, and they would give out a special promo that's had like the little Pokemon Play symbol on it, so you knew it was a promo, and it was a unique, cool looking art, and that was cool. But since all the shutdown and everything, they have not given out any sort of promos at all, which is a bummer, because even though they say, hey, you can go ahead and run events, they just aren't sanctioned. Sanctioned is the term. Stuff like that, and just being able to, even if I just gave that to people just buying product, like that'd be huge. And Magic does things like a bring a friend promo. So like if somebody brings a new friend to a tournament that's never been to the store before, they get a special promo. It's normally like a really good playable promo. So stuff like that's really cool. And I think Pokemon will eventually and do that. That I
in
would
2023, hopefully.
Yeah, like I said, they are doing the packs. I don't know what's going to be in them necessarily, but hopefully there's something cool. And I'm hoping that the trick or treat little packs was kind of like a little experiment for them to do that, because I think they're like 3 cards a pack.
Yeah, they're so cool. Did you just say boo? I think you tried to scare us. Oh, that was awesome. Yeah, I've seen those. I've seen photos of those.
Yeah, so hopefully that was like a little test run, basically, of like some promo packs, which would be cool. Other things, their tournament software is abysmal. It is absolutely terrible to use. It's unintuitive. It's bad, I would say, even the newest form of it. Magic has like an app functionality where you can scan a QR code and basically like report your results of the game like through your phone, and it automatically updates the tournament software. Like that would be insane.
It's pretty
Why
awesome.
can't you do that? Why can't you do that, Pokemon? Like that's super. If Wizards of the Coast can do it, they can definitely do it.
It makes me wonder too, because they probably did not design that app. So there is a company behind it that did that. So
Sure.
Yeah, you would think that you'd be able to, change it enough to where it doesn't, walk into intellectual property theft, and they can actually go in and do that. But
not super, advanced stuff there, honestly.
Sure.
But okay, how much more do you want from me, or can I keep going?
However long you want to go, unless Oak, you've got an answer for the collector side of things.
I'm literally making notes right now.
The Pokemon online game is especially the one that they're going to is pretty terrible.
There's no app, right? I think it's only on like Windows and Mac.
Yeah, the new one is going to have I think phone and app, or phone and like tablet functionality, but yeah, there's not currently, which is crazy.
It's a big miss.
You literally have a Switch with 110 users on it, 110 million users, and you do not have the Pokemon TCG app on the Switch.
Or Pokemon Go. They've already done Pokemon Go. You would think servers are there.
Yep. It's crazy. That's insane. That I can't run a virtual tournament as an LGS and like give out cool stuff for that. Why not? Why can't I do that? They did try to do something like that during the shutdown, and it was a terrible system. Um, a company in Europe somewhere was running it, and it took us like 8 months to get playmats for the event after
Oh
it was
wow.
over. Like, yeah, it
After
was
the
crazy.
it took eight
Uh-huh.
months after that.
Yes, for like participating, they gave you, or doing so well, they gave you mats, basically.
Yeah.
And yeah, nothing there. Or like cool little promos that say, "Hey, I play in person at an LGS. Here's a cool looking promo on the online game." It literally costs them nothing to do. I don't know why we can't have stuff like that. Um, it's silly that I can't run a tournament or set up, with different users and make a bracket and run a tournament that way online. Doesn't make any sense why I can't do that. Yeah, it's just
A
there's
lot
there's
of
a lot.
foundational stuff when it comes to player interaction and also interaction with the store when it comes to players. It sounds like all
Yeah,
the way from promos or just and I agree with you when it comes to the online side of things. Um, I think I remember looking at the Pokemon TCG like game you can play online just because I wanted to just I don't know I was bored. I was like, hey, I'll play this and see what it's like,
yeah.
and I couldn't find an app for it. And I was like, what's going on? And I looked, and I think somebody mentioned that they play, Derek Lavender. He said he plays TC Go on an iPad. And I think it's ready for a tablet, but I don't think it works on phones, which is even more strange than not having a mobile like application or not having an app at all. So yeah, I think that was one thing that I just can't imagine why you would roll something out like that, knowing that so many people jumped on Pokemon Go and they're ready to download an app to do that. Not to mention just our culture now, we do apps. That is kind of amazing, and I do like the idea of you saying like a virtual tournament, being able to give cool stuff out. I mean, I think that's talk about engaging people if they can just do what we're doing now. It's not like we have to go and you know sit at each screen in Oak's room and do this live stream. We could actually just like get on camera and do that. I mean, just being able to kind of attend an event and virtually play in it would be huge. So I think those are all really, really good points that I didn't expect to hear. I didn't know that there was that much of a lack, when it came to what you guys are going through.
Yeah, I mean, it's running a store, you have all these companies that are doing and trying different things and different promotions and stuff like that. And the largest IP in the world is being straight up clowned on by other companies that are way smaller and way less of a budget, and they're able to do these things. It's incredible. It's just crazy to me that they do not just have like a team of people working on all these things like immediately.
Right. Well, Oak, I think you're up, man. And just for anybody who might have jumped in, the question was, what could the Pokemon Company do in 2023 for collectors that they're not doing today? Just something different that you would want to see out of them, or whether it be a new type of set or cards, more promos. I know you have notes, so I won't talk too much on that. I know you got some things to say.
Yeah, I did make a couple of notes on what Mason was saying there. I thought it was really interesting that there was a software for those tournaments. I literally didn't know that. I had pictured that it was like, I don't know, mate, like a physical piece of paper with like some kind of note taking or score taking or something, like just kind of like a manual process behind it. But to know that there's a software where you input a player
Yeah.
and input scores and stuff.
Magic, which is Wizards of the Coast, they have what they call the companion app, and you can join a tournament, you can host your own tournament, and just set it up. You
I
can
had
look up
no
cards,
idea on that.
search cards, and like you can read what the effects and stuff do if you don't want to like pick the card up against across the table from you. Like you can just track your online points system. It's all in an awesome app, but it's
brilliant.
crazy. And
Yeah.
like I said, once you get a tournament going, you have like a 5-digit code that's also a QR code that you can just scan there at the store and join. Just like playing. You guys ever play like what are these games called? Jackbox Party. Where you do it on your phone, but you're like playing a game. when you're
Yeah,
using
it's
your phone.
super fun.
It's like
It's like a
five-digit-
Q&A, like a
Yeah,
game
it's like
show.
a
You type in a 5-digit
little
yeah.
number, and you hop in there, and you all sit there and play the game, and buzz in and answer on the phone. Same technology. If Buffalo Wild Wings can do it, why can't Pokemon? I don't understand.
Why can't the biggest IP in the world?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's super
I
cool.
have literally no idea what you're talking about just then, but it sounded fun.
It's amazing. It's so fun. You get a bunch of people, maybe alcohol possibly involved. It is such a good time.
Oh, I'm in. Done. Game. Yep. You sold me. Yeah. I think from the sounds of it, you kind of tilted the one thing that I'm going to talk about, which you already talked on, but you did tilt my opinion a little bit on how I would answer that question, because that does sound like a need. Like if that is something that's used and real world example of like how they could really make an improvement for people that are obviously very invested. Like if they're literally getting in their car, taking time away from their families and their home lives and driving to Mason's store to like do a tournament, that should be the best possible experience possible, right? That there shouldn't be any issues with software or rankings or what cards being played or whatever. So yeah, that sounds pretty exciting for me. Honestly, the improvement there. The other thing that I thought was interesting was Mason, you touched on it on promos being in English, and Pete, you touched on it on iterations being kind of like the interaction with the store. So something for me that really triggered me to like with a bit of inspiration about a month ago. I bought a friendly card shop promo from Japan for Pikachu, and I was like, why is this not a thing in English? Like, why is there not card shops? I've got Mason right here. Like, why is there not card shops that literally have a promo for card shops where you go in and you get a specific promo for supporting a local card shop? Pokemon are already doing it. Like, it's literally right there. Like, we're right on the cusp. It's there. It's present. It's happening, but it's in Japanese.
Yeah, I mean, they do have what they call the thank you promos, but they were like set hollows from the actual set, no different art or anything, and they just had the stamp that said thank you on them. Something like unique, at least, would be cool, I think. But yes,
that's one of the things I've touched on a ton is, and not to answer my own question here from a collector standpoint, but I will.
Go for it.
Having English exclusive promos from Pokemon is the only thing I want them to do. I think they can do whatever they're doing today, completely fine, except for everything on Mason's list they need to get done, 100%.
I don't think they understand. I don't think they understand the importance and the desire for that. I really don't. I don't think they do.
My hope, though, is with something like the special delivery Charizard. I don't know how many entries they got in 48 hours or however long that was up. I hope that shows them how much people want English exclusive promos. I mean, I think the Japanese model's proven, like you said, like they're already doing it. I mean, look at these very, very, very wildly available Japanese exclusive promos, and
so many.
They sell for thousands of dollars. I mean, look at the Mario Luigi ones. I mean, granted, there's going to be reasons, but if you look at sheer volume of how many of those are out there, there's obviously a huge collector demand and a premium people are willing to pay on the secondary, which then means you will sell, or whatever you want to tack onto the promo, spend $20, how they do special delivery Charizard. You could print money all day doing that, because I think that really is something that we just don't have in this hobby. And like you said, Mason, it's a reprinted set card with a different stamp on it. I'll say I can't even say it's a full step. I'd say it's a lean into a step.
It's okay.
But just give us maybe an alt art, because I know what you mentioned about promos, special event ones. I know that Dragon Ball was one of those. They do tournament, regional specific promo packs, 1 out of 4 or whatever. I mean, there's like 3 cards in the pack or something. And if you go to that event, you get one. I mean, that's just what it is. And that's such a huge attractor for that.
There's promos, or there's different arts for tag teams, back in the end of Sun and Moon days, that we've never gotten in English. Why?
Yeah.
You have the art, you just translate it and print it.
Gone.
I don't understand. There's a lot of things out there. There's tag team alt arts and things that we just never got, and it doesn't make any sense. And Pokemon does like to do and put those kind of promos and put them like in a box set over here or something like that. Like I think the Deoxys, V-Star, and VMAX are going to be in a box as opposed to an actual set. So they love to do weird stuff like that anyways, but to just not use an art that you already have and exists for something that already is made, that's silly. That's so silly.
It's waste of cardboard, in my opinion.
Or not a waste of cardboard, cardboard that could have been used,
Or yeah. Well, guys, I that's going to wrap up. I think we'll wrap up kind of questions from me to you guys. I know that, again, we've had shout out to chat. I mean, we've got 30 people watching. I mean, it's amazing that you guys have been so active in this, especially for a stream. I think I had like 30 subscribers when I jumped on this. So I so appreciate all you guys. And I want to kind of give the floor to, a few different people just, with questions and things like that. There were a couple. I'll start with this one.
Pete, yeah. You got to remember, like, this is your first video, but everybody knows who you are. This isn't actually your first video, right? Like,
it's all downhill from here is all I'm hearing.
No,
I'm kidding with you.
This is where, like, people are like, okay, let's take it to the next level. Like, you've got a lot of support, so you don't need to be humble right now. This is awesome. Like, I've enjoyed it. They were great questions for both Mason and I. I've enjoyed it.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you, guys. Yeah, we'll go for a few more minutes, guys, and answer some questions. And then what I want to do is maybe we'll go for like 5 or 10. And then I don't know if you two want to go a little bit longer. What we can do is just do we'll take like a little 2 or 3 minute break and then just do like an after hours live that everybody else can jump in again. Because I want to be able to cut this kind of for the full episode, because as I'm sure most people in here, if you've watched any of us talk, we can go for 4 hours, and I don't want to keep this video that long. So question wise, I'm still scrolling through, but I did see one from Jake, which welcome, Jake. I'm glad you're in the chat, man. I don't see you jump in too often, so I appreciate it. But one thing he asked, have you guys seen the Gary V Friends card? I think he meant to say cards with Zero Cool and Fanatics. I can't tell if he's talking about it. He's a Zero Cool guy and everybody buys them are Fanatics. I really can't tell. Or if those are names of cards. I have seen these. Who did I hear talk about these actually? Actually, Radar talked about these in Squeaks on their podcast. I think it's Collectible Conversations is the name of their podcast. I hate that I'm not remembering that right now. But I remember them talking about they saw, or it was at Nationals actually, and Jake, you were there, so you probably saw it. But yeah, Gary Vee was there pushing his game. Have you guys seen those before? Have you heard about them, I guess, outside of people at Nationals?
I mean, I know that they exist. I don't know what the story is behind them at all. I don't know anything about them, but I know that it's a thing. And they have, like, I'm guessing it's children's art on it, and I'm assuming that goes to some sort of charity, or there's a charitable thing in there. I'm assuming. I don't know. Do you guys know anything about it?
I did not look too far into it because I'm not the biggest Gary Vee fan. I respect what he's done, what he's built, but I don't associate him with maybe a CCG or a TCG. So I didn't really have any interest with it personally. So I didn't dive too far deep into whether they're characters, they go to charity. The only thing I remember hearing is I think they were $20 a pack or something like that at most. So
that's interesting that you say you don't associate him with with cards. I remember watching him talk. It feels like, I don't know if it's 2 years ago, 3 or 4, and it's all a bit of a blur since COVID, but I remember him talking about people should buy baseball cards. I remember him talking in these little clips and, like, Facebook shorts or whatever you call it, like these little videos that I was watching of him. And he was saying, like, buy baseball cards, like, they're going to be the future. This is the way we're going. Like, there's going to be hype. Like, things are going to happen. And it ended up going that way anyway, just organically in some fashion. I don't know if he had any part of it, but he jumped on the train. I mean, he obviously wanted to embrace it and take a part of it, which is pretty interesting. But I don't know if I fully understand his intention behind it with the cards he did, honestly.
Oh, he was tagging you. I thought he said a Masonberry special promo would be awesome, and I agree with that. This was a bit of a strange one from Kevin. Do sets have a certain scent? I keep hearing people say, oh, yeah, that smells like Evolving Skies. I can't say I've smelled enough cards to know.
I have smelled enough cards to know. Sets don't smell, but definitely from game to game, they have a unique smell for sure.
That's from a pro. I love it.
And the Magic Magic uses Japanese printers. They use U.S. printers, and they have, I believe, somewhere in Europe that prints as well. And they all smell different.
You guys have heard it here. Nobody's probably had as much product to investigate that as much as Mason,
God.
I would say. This was a good question from Max. Does Pokemon have its eggs in too many baskets? I do not believe so. I think that they are giant enough to be in everyone's basket at this point. I don't know if you guys have a different take on that, but
I think some of their eggs could be bigger if they didn't have so many eggs in the basket. But
that's a good analogy. I like that.
But no, I mean that's that kind of cross promotion and crossover is a strength to their brand. That's what makes them stand out and makes them so earwormy,
recognizable.
Yeah, absolutely. Like that helps huge. That's huge. Companies dream of having so many different product avenues and ways to sell their brand.
Yeah, I think when you get inside of McDonald's Happy Meals, I think you're doing something right. You know, it's only millions and millions of people that see your product. Sorry, go ahead, Oak.
No, you're right. I mean, that's the heart of it, right? I think they have roots everywhere, like in every aspect, right? So I don't know if building each part up is good. I kind of feel like having a lot of roots keeps the tree up, like keeps the tree strong, kind of thing. I'm trying to think of an analogy, but they just have so many eggs and so many baskets. Like I don't know if you guys saw my last Maildo video, but I literally bought Pokemon socks. Like you can literally buy Pokemon everything. Like anything you could ever imagine, you can go on eBay and buy it with a Pikachu on it. It's just superior branding to anywhere else. So for me, I think the rooting is very strong, and it's set in. I feel like it's very strongly set in there. To build some eggs bigger, I do think they have a lot of room for growth. I definitely do agree with Mason on that. There is room for that. I'm not sure on exactly where. I don't know if the TCG is the right place for that or not. I don't know.
All right, guys. What we'll do right now, I think we've kind of hit the time, at least for that. But what I want to do, guys, is if you do want to jump into just a quick after hours live, and we'll just go through questions and kind of spitball and kind of have some fun. This will be kind of the conclusion, of episode 1 of Collector Showcase. So I so appreciate every single person who jumped in, who went through and stayed the whole time. I mean, I kind of glanced at the numbers and it seemed like it was pretty consistent. You guys lasted the whole time, and I so appreciate that. I definitely want to thank, obviously you, Professor Oak, for being a part of this, man. I mean, like I said, you were one of the first lives I ever went on YouTube with. So, I think it was pretty fitting to have you on, and you're obviously compadre, Mr. Mason, CardNAll Gaming. I think we had a really, really great conversation and really enjoyed, kind of the stuff that we touched on. I am completely fine to go a little bit longer in an after hours if you guys are good with that.
Sure.
Love it.
Cool. Chat, I'm going to cut this. Give us maybe 5 minutes. You'll see it pop up on my channel. We'll just do a quick after hour, not a quick after hours, but an after hours. We'll go for however long people want to be engaged. So again, I appreciate all of you guys. Thank you so much for being a part of the very first one. And the only thing I will say, the next stream I have for this, which will be episode 2, will be on the 17th of this month. So 2 weeks from now. So I will have, it's going to be Swolepoke, if anybody follows him.
Sure, yeah.
And Aesthetic Chimp on Instagram. So check them out. They're very, very, very cool guys, awesome collectors, have some really interesting niches that they're a part of. So, if you guys have any questions or anything for them that you want to kind of get in before we go live, feel free to drop any questions, just, obviously in the comments and everything after this video goes or gets uploaded. I'd love to be able to have those ready in case, we jump to them a little bit quicker. But so the 17th, you guys will see it on my Instagram, all of that, etc. But I guess final thing, Mason, Oak, anything you guys want to plug, anything that you want to do, throw out there for everybody before we end it?
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I think we're both in agreement that this was wonderful. We enjoyed this. So, yeah, thanks for having me on.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
man.
Thank you, Peak. I appreciate you. I don't know what I did to be number 1 on the show, but it's awesome, and I couldn't ask for anybody better to be alongside than Oak.
Whoop, whoop.
That's awesome. All right, guys, we will see you in 5 after this if you want to jump in the after hours, and I so appreciate it. Have a good night, guys. We'll see you soon.
See ya.